Guys, welcome to my channel, and if you're new here, please subscribe. We talk about Igbo spirituality, Igbo cosmology, and we try to deconstruct Christian beliefs to Christian interpretation of what Odinaani is and isn't. And I try to make it relatable so that we as Igbo can make informed decisions on what the Igbo ancestral practices, ancestral spiritual practices is, and we can actually decide to be practitioners or just pass on the right information to the next generation. So this is what this channel is all about. And if you're interested in content like this, if you're interested in learning about Odinaani Igbo, then this is the right channel for you. So in that same voice, I'm going to say subscribe to this channel and let's discuss about what makes Odinaani Igbo a powerful spiritual practices. Thank you very much. Welcome back, guys. Before I start this video, I would want us to reflect on this particular topic. I want us to reflect and ask ourselves these questions and ask us, what makes Odinaani a powerful spiritual practices? When we hear about the ancestral tales on how our ancestors used the institution or the configurations of some charms or a deity, and they used it as something that helped them or influenced them to win battles, well, we're going to be forced to wonder what makes this spiritual practice powerful. Now, some of us might think the reason why it's powerful or it's that powerful is because of our interaction with the devil, because obviously Christianity or every other Abrahamic religion thinks or believes that if it is not Christian, if it is not Western, if it is not European, then it has to be from the devil. But I want us to reflect on this question. What makes Odinaani Igbo powerful? What makes Igbo spirituality powerful? Is it even the interaction we have with the so-called devil Ekwensu, which we all know that Ekwensu is not the devil? Through how our ancestors relate with Ekwensu, we are all aware that the devil is not Ekwensu. So if the devil is not Ekwensu, what now makes this spiritual practice powerful? What makes it possible that somebody can literally configure something, a charm, and use it to either help, so that we human beings are going to benefit from the ogu, from the charm, or they would use it with their malignant intent? What makes all those things possible? So before I begin to basically list out the answers I have here, I would want us to understand that in Odinaana or Igbo spirituality, what these Divyas actually know or what they have is not necessarily power, but rather they have access to cosmic powers through the knowledge that has been revealed to them by the cosmic powers that they have aligned themselves with. Now, on that same note, this power or this knowledge, which I prefer to use knowledge instead of using the word power. So this knowledge that they have been opportune to have or opportune to know, what now makes it, what determines if that power is benevolent or malignant? What determines if that power would be used to progress life or not? Now, power or knowledge is strictly just it. It is just what it is. Knowledge is knowledge, power is power. But the human intent, the human agent within, the human usage of these powers, the human usage of this knowledge is what determines if the so-called power or knowledge would be benevolent or otherwise. So this is just, to just give us like an overview. But the purpose of this video today is just basically to get us to think. It's just basically to get us to just, imagine, create different imageries, different scenarios, and basically answer the questions yourself. After watching this video, you might basically not agree with the things I've listed, but it's going to give you an insight for you to make your own conclusions. But no matter the conclusions you're trying to make, please deassociate Igbo spirituality, Odinaani, from the devil or from demons, because these things are things that do not exist in Odinaani Igbo. Now, what makes Odinaani powerful? What makes Igbo spirituality a powerful spiritual practice? Now, the first answer that I have here is the existence of God that reflects within us and around us. The existence of God which exists within us and around us. Ajofia had in one of his songs said that an Igbo man would not accept or believe that God existed in his father's obi. The Igbo man believes that the white men brought God, not religion, brought God to him. Therefore, since they believe that the white men were the people that brought God to us, they cannot imagine, we cannot fathom the possibility that even within a deity, even within you and I, is the existence of God, is an aspect of God, is an aspect of creation, is an aspect of divinity residing within us. In other religions like Christianity, the belief that you have to transcend or transform yourself by your character, by the way you believe, by the way you behave in the society, by your relationship with Jesus Christ, before you can actually have God within you. Now, to us here, is something we believe that it's already within us, even at our despicable moments. That this aspect of God, which we refer to as Chi, is there within us. So even when we are at our despicable moments, it's still trying to get us to realign ourselves. Because at the end of the day, the Chi is going to attest to Okike, how it was able to guide, how it was able to help us live our life. And when we are not able to grow ourselves cosmically, we're not able to grow our consciousness being Aka, then that means that we now have to have a repetition of that life, hence reincarnation. So the existence of God within us, which reflects in everything around us, is one of the reasons why Odinaani is a powerful religion, or spirituality rather, because we have this direct access to Okike. Now, when a person goes to a deity to, offer sacrifice, to interact with that sacrifice, the individual is not just interacting with that deity, but the individual is interacting with the Chi of that deity. And by interacting with that Chi of that deity, he or she is therefore interacting with creation, with all of creation, which is God itself, which is nature. That's why we hardly see things that are artificial being used when you're trying to venerate a deity. It has to be natural. It has to have elements of the natural principle before you're able to interact with this God factor. So while we are trying to basically search for God in other forms of religion, what we're trying to, try to get ourselves or align ourselves to Okike, the only thing that we needed to do is just to align with the aspect of Okike that lives within us, which is our Chi. Now, other religions have their own way, their own processes of aligning with Okike, with their Chi. Now, as in Igbo, we have our own processes. which could be isichiyite, isirichite, the process or the ritual of feeding the chi. Now, it's not literally you feeding your chi. Now, whatever you're offering as food is literally what you're doing for yourself, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a form of what we look at as salaka. Because you're going to invite other people that you know that you're probably better than your friends, and you feed them that day. So when you're feeding them, you're also interacting with it's not just about interacting with them, but you're also interacting with the chi that lives within them. The chi or the ezumezu that feels that without you giving this person this food at this particular time, that probably something drastic would have happened to that individual. So when you're offering all those things, it's actually just symbolic, but it actually has other significance. My second answer here is the veneration of ancestors who are the living and unliving gods amongst us. Now, our people have this saying, we say, Onye furu naye afugundi ichie. So you cannot be in an enmity with your father. You cannot be in an enmity with your mother and still think you are interacting with God. Now, irrespective of what this parent figure have done to you in your life, Ndi Igbo knows that ungu bụ nkwanye. Now, even if your father, because we look at it, say oburu na your father but ketekpa. Even if your father or your mother is the worst person on earth, you as the child still do not have any right to disrespect that parent figure in your life. You have no right to even exclude yourself from him, because to an extent these people have ego problem. So you as a person would only do your best. But when it comes to you insulting them or being rude to them, it's something our society frowns upon. So what happens here? Now, when you're venerating, when you're giving things to your father, for instance, you want to travel out of the country, you want to get married, you want to do something, the first thing you should do as Unwibo, as Unwobo or Unwibo, the first thing you should do is to prepare kola nuts and present it to your father. Makonye folon naye afugondi ichie. So when you're interacting with your father, you're not just interacting with your father. You're interacting with your ancestors, because your father is the living ancestors that you're seeing. So when you're giving your father that, you're seeing where the whole of creation that you're interacting just by interacting with one of their representatives. Now that's the veneration of a living ancestor. Now the veneration of the unliving ancestors, people will refer to as Ndichie. And if we now try to extend it, we'll now be extending it into knowing that deities, alose, are also related to you in one way or the other. Because some of us are not even aware that these deities were once ancestors. They lived, they walked, they behaved. The same food that me and you are eating is what they ate back in their own days. That's why some deities, you don't serve them cassava. Even the person that is interacting, the akajo for the ezenmo, cannot eat those kinds of food, because we all know that cassava is not an indigenous Igbo food. So because of that, asegina solo more ife dona. So you avoid it for the deity. Now, if these deities did not live like me and you, why then would they be avoiding foods like apple? Now, another, they can have their own different unso. But what it is trying to that when they were living or when they lived as human beings, they did not like that food, that kind of drink, or that kind of animal. So they will not allow you to approach them with that kind of things that they abhor. So when you're interacting with this deity, you're in one way or another interacting with an ancestor of yours, especially when you're interacting with Alusiben Nage or Alusiben Negi Ikun Negi, deities that belongs to your paternal or your maternal family. So when you're interacting with them, these particular ones that I just mentioned, you're interacting with your far back ancestors. Now, you've looked at it from this angle. That's why we encourage people that your practice of Odinaani shouldn't be on social media. Your practice of Odinaani is something that should take you back home and start interacting with things that are familiar, that are personal to you. And when you're doing it that way, you know that you're interacting with something that knows you and know you, even in your first incarnation, knows you and knows every single thing about you, and can give you information about you and everything around you. Now, when you're interacting with Ndiichie, you're at the same time interacting with all of creation. So these are the things that makes Odinaani powerful. Because even when you've lived this life and you die, your predecessors are going to venerate you as an ancestor. So when you now demonize these ancestors, you're at the same time demonizing yourself. Because I cannot imagine myself demonizing my mom and say, "Mom, you Holy Ghost fire." No. At some time in our life, when it's time for you to die, you will die and you will become an ancestor. And you will become an ancestor. So what happens till then? You'd have to venerate them so that onye nkegi gemelogia. Another thing that makes Odinaani powerful is the veneration of Allah, Ani, and the obedience to Nsani. I do believe that every culture have what their community abhors. Every spiritual belief. Christians can call this Nso sins, Njo. So if in Christianity you have things like Njo, things that you're not supposed to be in order to be one with God and his son Jesus, then in Odinaani, when you venerate Anna, you know that at the same time you have to obey to her rules. And some of her rules includes: do not commit murder, do not commit suicide, do not sleep with your relative, do not commit abortion, and finally, do not sleep with the same sex. This is what we refer to as Nsani. Now, as in my community, we have our own Nso, which includes animals like Ewi and Eke. We do not eat them. We do not kill them. I would not, because I live in a distant land, go and find these animals and butcher them and eat. It's against my origin. So you know that when you preserve all those things, when you live according to how you're supposed to live, it's already making you a spiritual being. Because who are we without our Izumes? Who are we without Mwodumadeje? And when you blatantly disobey them, blatantly disregard them, what happens to you? You're going to lose that connection that you have with your Oramwo. Now, as a human being, as a person that is living in this world of sin, if I should say, this world of wickedness, who are you or who are we when we lose this connection that we have to our divine forces? So by obeying or keeping these laws, these are the things that keep us together. Now, Igbo as a whole began to lose their place. We began to lose a lot of things, and because we started to disrespect, disregard the influence of Ani. Now, what happens? There is an increase or high rate of murder, high rate of incest, high rate of rape. Every single thing that our ancestors fought against is something that has become a norm, that we cannot live our life every day without having it at the back of our mind that we live in a country where anything can happen. You can just be going from this point to that point and you'll either be kidnapped, raped, or something bad or terrible will happen to you. Now, why is this so? Because we've lost this connection. We are losing this connection with Ani. That's why some communities are coming out to say no. They are coming out to say, whether you're from this community, whether you're coming from another community, you have to obey these laws. You have to obey our Ansobodo, our Ansani. Because they know that these things, when you respect or disregard them, it would not necessarily affect Onyemba, people that are coming from somewhere, but it's going to affect Ndewadiana, people that are from that community. So this is one reason why Odinaani is powerful. Because when we keep these rules and laws of nature, nature would in return preserve and fight for us. Because when our ancestors decided to inhabit in this part of the world, they met with entities we refer to as Omuabala. They had an agreement with Ani. If you hear the story of Ibariam and Sobale, you understand where I'm coming from. So let's get to the next answer. Odinaani is as powerful as it is because we look at as Odinaani as the way of life. And what is that way of life? Our belief in the natural principles. Then what is all those natural principles? Chi, Awu. Chi, the creative force. Awu, Uche Chukwu, Akonu Uchegi. Agbara ketelo, Akonu. Agbara ketere, Akonu Uche. So when we interact with Awu, when we interact with Chi, because the food that you're eating, that animal that is giving you sustenance, the same way the flesh is giving you sustenance, is the same way the liquefied life force, Obara, is giving life, is giving sustenance to your forces when you channel it to them. So if you will see here that Kodina mad, Kodina more. As we do here, so is done in the land of the dead or the land of the unknown, any language that you want to, put it. So if we follow the natural principle, the principles of predestination, the principles of predetermination, because things has been determined by our ancestors who know us more than we know ourselves, who happens to be the custodians of our previous reincarnation, and who knows what we are capable of. Now, if they are fating some things that are fating for us, to us it would look as if it's a fool's tale, but they are doing it because they know us more than we know ourselves. And at the same time, they give us this amount of leverage. Asigi onyekwe chiyekwe. So this is another thing that makes Odinaani powerful. The gift of free will. The gift of you exercising free will. And when you're in exercising that's the reason why when some people refuse to become practitioners, we don't care. Your ancestors will just be there looking at you. The only thing that they will do is that what they are supposed to do for you, they will not do it. What they are supposed to ward off for you, they will not do it. But whenever you decide to interact with them as their child, they would welcome you back. And they would. I say, so we see the principle of forgiveness. And this forgiveness comes with nothing attached to it. So this is another reason why I'm telling you today that Odinaani, it's powerful. In whatever context you want to try to put it. Now, the final answer I'll be giving in regards to this question, what makes Odinaani powerful, is the prevalence of sacrifice. Now, in some of my videos, I made a video on why blood sacrifice is important to Ndibo. I talked about, why, or the functions of sacrifices, which is to clear our path, to pay a cosmic debt, to ward off, to pay a cosmic debt, or maybe whatever accumulated debt that you have in your previous life, which I think I even did another video where I compared it with the Christians, the Catholic rites of baptism, Ewo Chapel or Isa Chapel, Nje Kelowa. So some of these Christian Odinaani practices are just basically the same thing, but the same thing in different process. But it's just when you look at the meanings, the reasons why they do some of all those things they do, and try to understand, down here why we also do it, then you know that it's just the same thing, just that they're giving it two different names. Now, to ward off negative energy. But first of all, we need to understand that the reason for Odinaani, the reason for sacrifices, it's because we need to have some sort of a cosmic exchange. You give something to gain something in return. Because we don't believe that anything is free. You have to give in order to receive. Now, another reason why sacrifice are so important is because sacrifices can be targeted at being used to acknowledge a person's spiritual forces. Which, if you're trying to get anything from the spiritual forces, you're directing that sacrifice to them. So once you acknowledge on the chair, you tell them, please, I need you to do this thing for me. And as I'm giving you this thing in return, I'm hoping that you give me so and so back. So all those things I've mentioned are the reasons why Odinaani is perceived, Odinaani is seen as a powerful religion, a powerful spirituality, Now, being a powerful spirituality or a powerful spiritual practice means that to whom much is given, much is expected. It means that you that is having this access to your Izumezu, that is having access to your Awo, that is having access to so many spiritual forces, means that you should be wary. You shouldn't use it against your brother. You shouldn't use that knowledge that you're tapping from the source and use it to basically fight or be malignant. Rather, you should use all those things to improve life. to make life to be beautiful, to make life to be better. That's why I encourage people, offer sacrifices, tap into this cosmic knowledge, into the cosmic powers. But at the end of the day, let us channel it into Nkanozo. Let us channel every hour, everything that we claim as Igbo to have. Let us channel it into something that is going to make our nation and our life to progress and to be better. So at the end of the day, when we are done here living our life and we want to journey to the land beyond, there would have been something that we are going to present and leave for the next generation. And not just to leave them with ogo for emaka or ogo to do something that we shouldn't do. You know, hurt somebody, take somebody's wife, take another person's property. Because at the end of the day, karma is going to catch up with you. And when it does, well, let me not get to that point. Because people feel that maybe because Odinaani do not have the whole heaven as a reward and hell for punishment for people that behave badly, then they will think they want to misbehave. That's not true. Odinaani has its karma, and that karma is worst. The only thing there is that that karma also gives you an opportunity to try to be better, to try to grow your consciousness, try to make you realize that what you did in your previous reincarnation is not how you should have lived your life. And for some reason, through Alpha and people that have tried to understand the life of their reincarnator in their previous life, how they live their life, are trying now to make amends. So this is all those opportunities that Odinaani or Igbo spirituality gives or allows us to basically, kind of try to right our previous wrongs. So guys, I'll be stopping this video here, and if you like this content, please subscribe, and if you have any video specification, also let me know about it. Follow me on all my social media, on Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. And you can always chat me up on WhatsApp. You can book sessions and let's have conversations on Odinaani. So until next time, guys, see you in my next video. Thank you.